Chapter 32. Believe me when the sun rises. Sakura, wait! Please trust me! Syaoran reached out for Sakura as he ran, panting, after her lithe figure. Her golden brown hair streamed behind her. Then she halted, swerving around. Her dark emerald eyes were sorrowful as well as hard. Why should I trust you? You're my enemy. No, Sakura, it's a mistake. The truth is, I don't want to listen to you. Stop lying to me. Stop hurting me. I don't need someone like you. The words echoed in his head as he watched Sakura turn around and disappear from view. Like you. No, Sakura, believe me! In the dark of night, Syaoran bolted up from his bed. What an unpleasant dream. He wiped the sweat from his brows. It's the truth, though, little wolf. You are scared that one day the cherry blossom will leave you. You're scared that she'll no longer trust you because you have hurt her before. You've betrayed her trust before, came a deep, hollow voice. Syaoran gazed around him warily. It was pitch black in the hotel suite room. Who are you? I am the phantom. I am the fear inside you, which will haunt you. I am inside of you. Well, I don't fear you, Syaoran replied assuredly, drawing out his sword. That is a lie, brave one. Inside you are scared. So scared that one day you might hurt the cherry blossom beyond repair. So scared that she might turn to hate you, scorn you, and despise you. You are scared of losing her one day. The dark voice wrapped around Syaoran, choking him with invisible venom. Surrender your body to me, small wolf. Choose the easier path, free from worry, free from pain. Give me your body for me to control. Syaoran trembled, trying to keep the voice from hypnotizing him. No! I can assure you that when you give me your body and mind to possess, I won't kill the cherry blossom. There, isn't it a deal? Now surrender your cowardly self to me. For a moment, Syaoran trembled under the black venom, which seemed to scrape sharp nails into his brain. Then he shouted, Never! What? Startled, the phantom backed off. Silly boy, I told you that you will no longer have to face pain, and I assured you I won't kill your cherry blossom. What more can you ask for? You're the stupid one. Syaoran grinned at the phantom. Don't you know that I would rather face pain and protect Sakura with my very own hands than be a weak coward who would surrender his body to you? See, phantom? So you don't care if you're hurt? You don't mind if the cherry blossom is endangered? I do care, but I'm not scared of dying for her sake. I would rather be able to watch over her with knowledge that I can and will do anything for her. And my life is my life. I want to control it and live it. With these words, Syaoran let out a flare of power, raw power. Ugh! Groaning, the phantom backed off. Surely words, little wolf. Don't know how, but I can't seem to possess your mind, even by force. Well, I'll have to find someone else to control. With this, the phantom evaporated into the Tokyo night in search for the right person to possess. And several blocks off, he found the perfect man who was eternally suffering because of the fear that his daughter might hate him. Giving a sigh of relief, Syaoran collapsed back onto the sofa bed. His power had been exhausted, fighting off the phantom. For a moment, he had been really scared that the phantom really would take over his mind and body and do something regrettable to Sakura. No! But the phantom would never be able to touch his heart and soul. He will never let any harm come over Sakura. And the first thing he must do is always be by her side, whether she wanted him or not. He didn't want his dream to reoccur in real life, though. He was very scared that night, and he vowed he would do anything to make Sakura believe in him with her full heart. Kinomoto Fujata's flashback. Oni-chan, don't leave me. Fujiko doesn't want to stay alone, said a pretty girl with long golden hair and tear-stained cheeks. I'm sorry things had to work out this way, Fujiko. Fujata, at age 17, murmured, consoling his little sister. He shut his simply packed suitcase and gazed around at his large, empty room. I promise that I'll come back for you. And in the meantime, be a good girl and listen to Father and Fushika and Niki. Swallowing a sob, Fujiko looked up at her gently smiling, handsome brother with large, glistening eyes. Does Oni-chan want to leave me that much? If I'm a good girl, will Oni-chan come back? Fujiko, I'm leaving home because I want to lead my own life. One where I am my own self, not someone who is entitled under the name Kinomoto and Hoshi Enterprise. When I find who I really am, and when I find out what my dream is, I'll come back. I'll make sure that I become someone you can admire. Then we'll explore the large world together. All right? Fujata stroked Fujiko's pretty hair. If I wait patiently for a few years, you'll come back, and then we won't have to be parted anymore? Fujiko asked hopefully. I can believe Oni-chan will return to me, right? I promise. From then on, we'll always be together, Fujata stated. Little did he know, that was the biggest lie of his life. End of Fujata's flashback. Somewhere in Tokyo, in the middle of the night. Sighing, Kinomoto Fujata, father of Sakura and Toya, slipped the worn family photo of Fushika, Fujiko, and himself back into his wallet. They were all laughing in the picture. It seemed like so long ago, and his life had changed so much since then. Right now, he was on lecture tour in various colleges. It had been an interesting experience to meet new people, interact with intelligent professors with differing ideas, and most of all, learn new things. Something he never dreamed of when he was a young boy. Yet, he had escaped from the prison of his life that might have been. Meeting his elder brother, Fushika, the other day, after more than 20 years, was a shock. Yet, a flint was embedded in his heart. Year after year, he consoled himself that he had no right to go back to Fujiko again. He would have felt ashamed to enter his father's household again. For over 20 years, he told himself that it was in the best interest of Fujiko not to meet her. Yet, he found out from his brother that Fujiko had left home years ago. She could be out in the cold world facing God knows what hardship. That dreadful fear was in him. Could it be? that Fujiko, his younger sister, was even dead. The next morning in Tokyo. Father, why did you hide all your pain inside you all these years? Did you have to keep it from your children? Turning, Sakura shifted her position in the huge, king-size bed in the suite room in Tokyo as she dreamt of her father and the beautiful aunt she met only once in ghost form, Kinomoto Fujiko, when they were young. "Wake up!" came a dreadfully loud and cheerful voice. "It's morning, a bright and lovely day." Ignoring the voice, Sakura snuggled deeper into her blankets. Snatching the blanket, Syaoran stated, "Are you gonna sleep all day?" Sakura mumbled, "Give me back my blanket." "You have awful sleeping manners. Just look at you. I know your bed is big, but how'd you end up sleeping upside down?" Syaoran commented wickedly. "Oi?" Blinking, Sakura looked around. Somewhere in the middle of the night, she had ended up upside down on the bed. Well, it didn't make that much of a difference. Embarrassed, she shook her hair into place and rubbed her eyes. "How come you're up early for once?" What do you mean? I always wake up early." Syaoran didn't mention the fact that he hadn't slept a wink since the Phantom left the previous night. Yeah, slyly Sakura added, "Even if I have awful sleeping manners, at least I don't talk in my sleep." "I don't sleep talk," Syaoran protested. "Oh yeah, I promised to meet Tomeo downstairs in the hotel lobby by 10. I'm late! I promised to go shopping with her today," Sakura exclaimed quickly, jumping out of bed. "Don't watch, I need to change." "Why would I watch?" Syaoran stammered, turning red. "Good riddance. One would think we're here on vacation trip, going out shopping." "It's not like there's anything else better to do." For a moment, Sakura cast her eyes down. Only yesterday did she learn the shocking fact that her grandfather, on her father's side, Kinomoto Fujita, was the person filing the suit against Kaido Magician. Because of someone of her blood, Kaido Magician had been chased like a dog by the police and eventually injured and shot by the gun, not to mention have a microchip attached to his precious locket. For the moment, Sakura had taken charge of the locket and was using the shield to keep the police from locating it. Meanwhile, Kaido Magician should be getting treated at the hospital. It had shocked her to learn that her father was actually the second son of a wealthy businessman, president of the prestigious Hoshi Enterprise. Even more shocking was when she saw how cruelly her uncle, Fujika, treated her father. Yesterday, she had been hurt beyond imagine by the painful facts that she had learned about her father's past. Not to mention finding out that Fujiko had been actually her father's younger half-sister. And Syaoran, who had found out the details before her and had kept the big secret from her. Yet, she no longer felt bitter or angry at him. "Actually, it doesn't matter. I need to meet Tamura-san today," Syaoran said, heading towards the door. "Tamura-san's in Tokyo?" "Yeah. Agaki Arima has a film shooting here, so he came here." Agaki Arima, Tamura Asuma's girlfriend, was a popular actress. Both of them were also into horse racing, and they attended Seiju University, being classmates of Toya and Yukito. "Okay then, see you later," Sakura said. Before leaving the room, Syaoran turned and winked. "Remember, at the Italian restaurant across the street, 6 o'clock sharp. See you then." He remembered. Sakura smiled. 6 o'clock sharp at the famous 5-star Italian restaurant. Her stomach felt giddy all of a sudden. Why? It's not like a date or anything. It's just what? Sakura looked at her watch. 5:45. Twiddling her fingers together, she wondered why she came early. Tomeo and Sakura had a fun day, shopping all sorts of things together, eating lunch, and Tomeo even planned Sakura's outfit for the evening, despite her protest. She was looking especially pretty with a short, sleeveless, pale blue dress, which fluttered like angel's wings in the wind. Her hair hung in golden brown ringlets around her back and was held in place by matching sky blue ribbons. The whole effect was that she didn't look overly dressed up and rather natural and simple. Yet, all the tiny details added together made her natural beauty glow in an unconscious way. As he walked down the street, Syaoran fingered a pretty white rose, bemused. Asuma had insisted that he should buy a bouquet for Sakura. Instead, Syaoran had chosen a simple white rose, which had caught his eye. It was an especially large, enchanting single blossom, which was so pure white that it almost had a sky bluish tint to it. Around the stem, he tied a pretty sky blue silk scarf that he had bought. It would look really pretty tied around her soft, golden brown hair. He had been tempted to buy her another necklace to replace the diamond one that was stolen, yet he knew that nothing would be able to take its place. Not to mention that he was near broke after spending several days in Tokyo. Looking up, he halted. Warily, he gazed at the tall Tokyo Police Headquarters building. He had enough trouble with it during the past day. Then his amber eyes rounded in surprise. An old yet stately tall man in his 60s stepped out of a shiny black limousine followed by bodyguards. The more surprising thing was that he saw Kinomoto Fujika also come out of the limousine, followed by his stately, gentle wife. "I trust your business trip went successfully, Father," Fujita said in a respectful tone. "Yes, my son. The European company agreed to sign the 10-year contract." He clearly was Kinomoto Fujita, Sakura's grandfather and president of the Hoshi Enterprise. "Has there been anything amiss recently while I was away?" "Only the Kaido magician has escaped again," Fujika replied. "But it'll be a matter of time before he's caught. Head of the police force Daidoji-san ensured that the newest development TMI-305 has been attached to the Kaido magician so that the police can track all his movement." "Well then, why hasn't the Mirror of Truth been reclaimed yet? Do you know how much it is? It's priceless!" Fujita asked his son stiffly. Well, that is why we are about to visit Daidoji-san at the police headquarters," Fujika said. For the first time, Fujika's wife spoke. "We met Fujita-san yesterday, quite coincidentally, at a Hoshi University seminar." The old man looked pained. Finally, he croaked, "Fujita?" Giving a glare at his wife, Fujika continued stiffly. "He gave a lecture on archaeology or something." Fujita asked slowly, "Is he well?" "More or less. But Father, it doesn't matter. He's no longer your son," Fujika replied shortly as they entered the police building. "Nasty brute," Syaoran thought as he rapidly calculated how he could continue to listen to their conversation. He felt pretty sure that he had some important information to learn from them. Then he glanced at his watch. 10 to 6. He had to hurry. He couldn't keep Sakura waiting. Now, how could he overhear their conversation with Daidoji-san? Quickly, he whipped out a ward paper. This one had a listening spell on it. Inconspicuously, he attached it to Fujika's back, then dodged outside the gates. Keeping still, he found that he could listen clearly to what was being said in Daidoji-san's office on the 7th floor. Daidoji-san's voice was heard. "The only way the microchip can be removed is by a program which is installed in a top-secret diskette that the disc is locked away safely in my office. It is in the cabinet in the farthest left corner of my room, and the third vault from the bottom. Syaoran tensed. Daidoji-san continued, the only way to unlock it is through the secret code, which only I know. It is 00-06-03 for the outer lock, and the inner lock is the password Kawa, river in Japanese. In ways, the lock combination is simple, since 00603 happens to be Kaido Magician's criminal number, and Kawa symbols how he slips away so easily from the Japanese police force with the energy and vigor of a flowing river. Grimly smiling, Syaoran noted it also made it easier for him to memorize the code. Frowning, he glanced at his watch. 6 o'clock. He was going to be late, yet this was important. Well, anyway, if the Japanese police force are hot on his track, why is it taking so long tracking down one lousy thief? Fujika demanded. Wasn't he shot several days ago? Shouldn't he be dead by now? In an embarrassed tone, Daidoji-san murmured, well, 2 days ago, we suddenly lost track of TMI-303 microchip indicator. The red spot simply just stopped showing up on our computer screens. This is unexplainable because there are no technological glitches, nor any chance the Kaido Magician removed the microchip. From outside, as he overheard the conversation with his magical assistants, Syaoran grinned. He knew why the police lost all track of the microchip attached to the Kaido's locket. Sakura had made good use of the shield card. The Mirror of Truth is a priceless Kinomoto family heirloom, Fujika started. If it is not recovered, our family would have no choice but then to request the government pay for it. We lent it to the museum for good interest of the public. However, since the Japanese police force are so lax, letting one thief escape with it, I don't see how it's not a shame for our nation. Even the Lee family in Hong Kong kept their clan treasures safe from that prying thief. Well, it wasn't because of the Hong Kong police force, Syaoran noted. It was because of the power of the Lee family, not to mention Mei Lin's stubbornness. Once she had her mind set up, nothing would convince her of otherwise. Besides, Kaido Magician probably didn't have all the determination to steal from the Lee family. At least he knew where the Five Force treasure was and that it was being kept safe. Yet the Mirror of Truth was a different story. Syaoran happened to know that the mirror was not actually a Kinomoto family heirloom. Instead, the Kinomoto family had taken it from the family of Tanaka-san, a man who worked in a high position in Hoshi Enterprise. The president of Hoshi Enterprise had declared that the man had been in debt to him and took many of the family treasures, including the Mirror of Truth. Tanaka-san had passed away, and his family members seemed to have disappeared. So there was no complaint against the rightful ownership of the Mirror of Truth, and no one was willing to question against the powerful Kinomoto family. Still, Syaoran knew what dirty, underhanded methods the Kinomoto family had used, especially the eldest son of Fujika. There was one more secret that Syaoran had kept from Sakura, yet he couldn't bring himself to tell her. Years ago, Fujika had manipulated Fujata's fortune, which was left to him by the first lady of the house, their mother. Fujika had arranged it with his lawyer so that Fujata could not claim the small fortune which was under his name. By legal rights, however, if Fujata wished to, he could still bring the matter to court and claim his part of the Kinomoto fortune, and also bring unpleasant consequences to Fujika. Their father didn't know what Fujika had done. Fujita did not realize what kind of poverty his second son suffered during the first few years since he left home. But what was the past was the past. Yet, if he was Sakura, He would be enraged if he found out how his uncle had controlled his father's fortune, so that he had to suffer through hardship and poverty. It was bad enough that the Kinomoto family unrightfully took the Mirror of Truth from another family and claimed it as their own. Kaido Magician had justification for wanting to steal it, even if he didn't steal the other 5 Force treasures, including the diamond necklace, Lee Clan sword, sapphire ring, and ruby earrings. At that moment, Fujika's hand phone began ringing. Excuse me for a second, Daidoji-san. Hello, Kinomoto Fujika speaking. What? The Kaido Magician has been located? Oh, very well. Fujika smiled grimly. Why wasn't Syaoran coming? It was 6:30. Sighing, Sakura sat down on a bench outside the restaurant. Maybe he wasn't planning on to come after all. It was stupid of her to get all excited and giddy for no reason. Should she just return to the hotel? Kaido Magician yawned and plopped back onto his hospital bed. He had never been so bored in his life. Without much thought, he drew out several of his pocket knives and began throwing them at the opposite wall, the target being a single speck of dirt he had spotted with his keen eyesight. Is hospital life a bit tame for you, Dainui-san? The doctor asked as he entered the room, dodging a knife. Sitting up straight, Kaido Magician stammered, no. Well, I just came to inform you of the results of your x-rays and health chart, the doctor said, flipping through several papers in a manila folder. The hard substance embedded in your left chest is quite deep. There must be surgery to remove it. The operation and complete recovery may take anything between a month to 6 months if it all turns out well. You've lost much blood over the past days, not to mention that your body is worn and fatigued, pushed to human limits. 1 to 6 months? The Kaido Magician exclaimed. I don't have that much time on my hand. He couldn't leave the locket with the microchip to Sakura and Syaoran for that long. How busy can a teenage boy be? The doctor asked mildly. My father, the ambassador, requires me to be in France in several days. Japanese ambassador in France happens to be a close friend of mine, the doctor said. And I happen to know he has no son. Ah, is that so? Kaido Magician stammered, his blood turning cold. Anyway, hospitalization for several months is better than your other option, the doctor said. Which is... He began to sweat heavily. Being arrested and handed directly over to the Japanese police force. Kaito Magician, the doctor said coldly. Moi? Oh, don't joke around, Doc. C'est impossible. Do you know what you're accusing me of? Kaido stated as if outraged by the fact that he'd been accused of being a thief. Shaking his head, the doctor stated, It's no use, notorious thief of the night, alias voleur de la nuit. Last week, when you were shot by the gun, the police collected the blood sample of the Kaido Magician. They gave it to all the hospitals in Japan since they knew you wouldn't last long with that injury. Plus, this hospital happens to be sponsored by Hoshi Enterprise, and the blood sampling of the Kaido Magician matches up with the DNA of your blood sampling. Just my luck to stumble into a hospital sponsored by the Hoshi Enterprise. Kaido muttered. Did you call the police? He asked slowly as reality sank into him. He'd been too careless. Since when did he turn so incautious? Ever since he depended on other people. It was time he stepped back on his feet. I did inform them, but you won't be arrested until your wound has been treated. You only will be extra guarded. The doctor blinked. Somewhere in his first sentence, the slinky, swift thief of the night had already disappeared out of the hospital window. Then he hollered, Guards! Kaido Magician has escaped! Syaoran shifted in frustration in a taxi. Just his luck. There was heavy traffic. He was now 45 minutes late. As soon as Fujika and Fujinta left the police headquarters, he had left too. He prayed that Sakura would still wait, though he knew that nothing could make up for being late. He knew he had learned valuable information. Finally, Syaoran just shoved the money to the taxi driver and just began to run to the Italian restaurant. Oh, please wait, Sakura. Panting, Syaoran stepped in front of the Italian restaurant. It was 7 o'clock and Sakura was gone. He'd been too late. Angrily, he buried his head into his hands as he sat down on one of the benches. He couldn't keep his promise with her. I can't believe you stood me up for an hour, came a clear, half-teasing, half-mocking voice from behind him. Slowly, Syaoran turned around. Sakura? Folding her arms, Sakura stated, I'm mad. What took you so long? I thought you weren't going to come, and I really was going to leave. Then she winked. But I decided to wait because I trusted you would come. That something must have kept you from coming on time. I'm sorry, Syaoran said, looking up with bright amber eyes. And thank you for waiting and trusting me to come. I want you to understand my Well, you've kept me waiting long enough. Let's go in. Sakura twirled around and entered the fancy restaurant, her sky blue dress swishing past Syaoran's legs. Syaoran hung his head down and sighed. After they ordered the main course, Syaoran stammered, I guess you want an explanation as why I'm so late. What shall I have for dessert? Do you remember that tiramisu and raspberry cheesecake we ordered in New York? And then Miho came along and ate it all up with a Rika. Pigs. Fumbling inside his pocket, Syaoran drew up something. Then, awkwardly, he handed it to Sakura. Here, I got it for you, but then it kind of got crushed on the way. I'm sorry. It was really pretty when it was fresh. Surprised, Sakura took the slightly limp, pure white rose with the sky blue sash tied around it. Thank you. It smells very pretty and it smells nice. Sakura clearly hadn't been expecting a gift of any sort. She smiled for the first time that evening, and her deep emerald eyes sparkled. Her whole features were softened under the illumination of the candlelight, and she looked like an angel in Syaoran's eyes. In awe, Syaoran began, Wow, you look really pretty. Oh my gosh! That's my uncle and that must be my grandfather! Sakura exclaimed. They're sitting at the table across from us. Once more, Syaoran dropped his head. Just his luck that those two Kinomotos had to come to this restaurant out of all the Italian restaurants in New York and completely ruined the atmosphere with Sakura. Drat. As the two respectable businessmen settled into the table across Sakura and Syaoran and looked over the menu, Fujinta commented to Fujika. Your wife said you met Fujata yesterday? Yes, Fujika replied shortly. It's grievous how he left our family like that, isn't it, father? A total shame to the Kinomoto family name. I was thoroughly disappointed in my brother, and he didn't even inquire after your health. Fujata is still as arrogant and self-centered as ever, always having to have things his own way and heedless to other people. It's a pity. Is that so, my son? Fujinta asked in a grievous tone, and I was already thoroughly disappointed that he took his mother's fortune under his name, just like that. He hasn't changed, has he? Frowning, Sakura leaned over the table and asked Syaoran, What are they talking about? Father didn't take any money, and he's the last thing from arrogant and self-centered. Plus, he was really worried about grandfather and everyone yesterday. Fujika is such a liar. When she saw the grave expression on Syaoran's face, she demanded. You know something, don't you? You're still hiding something. What is it? Tell me. Sakura looked up with sorrowful eyes. I know you've always tried to hide things from me because you don't want me to worry or cause me pain, but I want to know. It's important to me. Please? Drawing a deep breath, Syaoran began. When your father left home, he left without a penny. However, under legal rights, his mother had left her fortune to Fujita-san when she passed away. Yet, Fujika-san maneuvered the bank account and secretly claimed the fortune himself, leaving Fujita-san penniless. Meanwhile, Fujika-san informed their father that Fujita had secretly taken the fortune and run away. Of course, your grandfather was shocked that his son would do such a thing at the age of 18. This made Fujita even more determined to disown the son that he'd always loved best. My uncle. No. Fujika-san did something as underhanded as that. He betrayed his own brother? Sakura asked in disbelief. You're lying. How could someone be so cruel to their own brother? How do you know all of this, Syaoran? I just do, Syaoran replied softly. My uncle, who manages our family business, has close ties with the Hoshi Enterprise. Now do you understand why I don't want to tell you? You don't know how many cruel and heartless things Fujika did. Though his father's just as ambitious, at least Fujita-san has some sort of honor. Yet his son is a different story. You don't want to hear the bad things about your family. Giving a sad smile, Sakura replied, I can't call someone who treats father like that family. We just happen to have the same name, but nothing else connects me with the Kinomoto family of the Hoshi Enterprise. So that's not going to stop me from demanding them to drop the charges against the Kaido magician. Tomorrow. You're going to do what? Syaoran gawked, his pasta sliding off his fork. You're not serious, are you? Not to them! Yes, I am. Tomorrow morning. They're not going to listen, you know. They're really keen on finding the mirror truth by any means, since it's priceless. Then he muttered, not like it's theirs anyway. Hoi? Reluctantly, Syaoran continued, though the Kinomoto family claims the mirror is priceless family heirloom, actually, they took it off the family of Tanaka-san, a man who worked for the Hoshi Corporation. Fujika-san declared the man had costly debts to the company, and he took the mirror. Seriously? Didn't anyone complain in that man's family? Well, no. The man died and his family sort of disintegrated, I guess. As Sakura stuffed the delicious pasta into her mouth, she fumed. I won't forgive the Kinomoto family. You wait and see. For the sake of the Kaido magician! She raised her fist heroically. Oh yes, father, didn't I tell you? The Kaido magician has been found in one of our hospitals, Fujika said loudly from the other table. Sakura dropped her glass cup. Everyone turned in her direction. And Sakura laughed nervously. But, Fujika continued, he escaped again. Whew! Sakura sighed in relief. Then she stared at Syaoran. You don't seem surprised. Oh, as I was trying to tell you, the reason I was late was because I was following those two to the Tokyo Police headquarters and eavesdropping on their conversation. I found out how to remove the microchip on the Kaido silver locket. I know how to, Sakura replied coolly. The program to remove is stored on a floppy disk, which is locked away in a cabinet on the farthest left corner of Daidoji-san's office. Impressive. But I bet you don't know how to open it, Syaoran said with a gleam in his eye. Sakura's eyes turned round. You don't mean... Yep. Outer lock 00-06-03. Inner lock password KAWT. A. Sakura squealed. Ooh, perfect! Smart Xiao-chan. She patted Syaoran's head, and he smiled like a content kitten. From behind a chair, Tomeo shook her head. When did they turn so close? And since when does Syaoran actually put up with being called Xiao-chan? Probably it was only allowed because it was Sakura. What was she doing there? Of course, she couldn't miss the opportunity to tape S&S's first date. Slamming her fist on the table, Sakura then announced, tomorrow evening, I'm going to break into the police headquarters and steal the disc. Sputtering out his drink, Syaoran exclaimed, You're gonna do what? Are you angry? Sakura asked as they came out of the restaurant after their dinner. No. Syaoran shuffled his foot. Their so-called date was completely ruined by the fact that they had been listening nonstop to Fujita and Fujika's conversation. Not to mention Sakura planning step by step the Kinomoto confrontation and robbery tomorrow. Well, it was partially his fault. That the only thing Sakura talked to him about was their job. If he hadn't hurt her last winter, maybe there might be something different between the two now. Yet, what he did was already past, and he had believed up till this point it was the right thing to do. It's strange. The Phantom hasn't bothered us one bit yet. I don't think there's ever been a more peaceful time than now, Sakura commented. Maybe the Dark Ones are on summer vacation, Syaoran replied as they walked down the street. He didn't mention how the Phantom tried to possess him the previous night, and that it must be lurking around still. And the only reason he was able to win the Phantom was the strength in him given from Sakura. So, what do you want to do now? Do you want to go watch a movie? It's them! The gangsters that took my necklace! Sakura exclaimed, pointing. One of the guys looked up and stated, Hey, it's you again. What are you doing here? We don't want to see you guys. Give her back her necklace, Syaoran said through gritted teeth. We don't have it, one of them mumbled. Don't bother lying. Give it back. Syaoran gripped one of their collars. In response, all four of them attacked Syaoran at once, leaping at him from 4 different directions, seeking revenge for being thoroughly beaten by a girl last time. Up to this point, Sakura had never seen Syaoran fight before. Really fight normal people in a normal way. She was amazed. He blew all 4 guys away without much effort. His crisp, light gray button-down shirt and black pants were not even wrinkled when he finished. Earlier that evening, she noticed how he had dressed up for dinner, which made her somewhat pleased. Then, in a threatening voice, Syaoran repeated, I'm not going to ask again. Where is the necklace? We don't have it, said one guy, nursing a bruise on his cheek. Then where is it, Baka? Okay, I admit it. We stole it last time from the girl, but it's true. We don't have it anymore. This person dressed all in black with a cape stole it from us. I hope you're not lying, he threatened. Syaoran, just leave them. It's okay. They've told us all they know, Sakura said. Fine. Slowly, they walked out onto the highway overlooking a river. In the background was a speckled, bright city lights which reflected in the dazzling river. I don't like people who use violence, Sakura stated. Syaoran's expression cringed and his head hung low. Hastily she added, But I think you did it because you thought I was angry at them, so it's okay. Strolling by the riverside, Sakura gazed out into the distance. Wish I could take a real vacation, somewhere far across the sea, somewhere that's peaceful and quiet with no burdens or stress. But, Syaoran, I just want to say this. Smiling, she swerved around. Her light blue dress swirled around her. Gazing at her, Syaoran blushed slightly in the dark. Thanks for a great dinner. And also, thanks for always being here for me and supporting me. I don't know what I would have done without you. I think I'm really lucky that you're here by my side. I often wonder why you're helping me since you have no reason to, but...
Isn't it obvious? Syaoran asked, carefully looking into her eyes. You're a special person to me.
It's an easy thing to say, isn't it? Yet, don't say stuff you don't mean from your heart. Don't say things like that, which will only hurt me later on. Stepping back, Sakura said sadly, I'm glad you've been the best of friends to me so far, yet get it straight. That's all. Gripping her wrist, Syaoran replied, gazing at her with the most serious amber eyes twinkling with the lights of the reflected from the river. A firm resolution formed in his heart. He wanted to set things right.
I've been a coward, always trying to run from the truth, but Sakura, I vowed I would always tell you the truth from now on. I do care for you.
Then he drew her near to him and closed his eyes, bending over to kiss her. For a moment, they were a breath apart.
Sakura, I do care for you.
His words stirred a deep warmth in her heart, which had ached for years in loneliness that never surfaced. It was a loneliness that was unconscious to her except in the deepest center of her heart, where she yearned for something, she knew not what. The bitter coldness which she felt that winter when he told her he had no feelings for her slowly melted as a tingling ran down her spine. Then she froze again. She still remembered his cold words.
Do you remember what this place is? And this is where I finally told you I had special feelings for you. Funny how we can look back to yesterday and realize how silly it was. Seems like another lifetime.
Abruptly, she stepped back at the last moment. Her forest green eyes hardened. How can I believe in you? You hurt me before. I gave you my full trust. Then you told me you didn't care for me. How do I know that you won't do it again? You always change and stay inconsistent. How do I know if you're sincere right now? That you aren't just playing with me? Syaoran was cut off. The words from his dream echoed in his ears. Why would I trust you? You're my enemy. Stop lying to me. Stop hurting me. I don't need someone like you. When you came back from Hong Kong, you don't know how glad I was, yet winter came and thrust me into pain. Pain from my soul. Someone I counted on hurt me so much. Sakura looked with the same sorrowful eyes as she had in his dream. I was so confused. I wanted you to explain to me why you fought by my side and acted so kind at times, yet always turned that cold face on me. Tell me, did you hurt me because you are my rival and enemy? Why do you help me? Is it to hurt me again? I want to trust you, yet how can I trust you when you make my heart hurt so much? Are you lying to me again?
Sakura, you're mistaken about something. I'm not just playing with you.
Already, Sakura had run off to the furthest edge of the bank. Burying his hand in his hair, Syaoran murmured,
Oh, you're mistaken. I didn't say I didn't care for you last winter because I didn't like you.
Then he asked quietly,
What can I do to make you trust me? I've already made a mistake. I don't want to make another one.
A light male voice came from behind a bush. How romantic, under the moonlight with the city and the river in the background. As if you don't have anything better to do than impress a girl. Jeez, it was only 1 centimeter off. The kiss? Exactly, Syaoran grumbled ruefully. Anyway, why'd you lie to her last winter? If you did care for her after all? Because I knew liking her would only cause her pain in the end. Wait a minute. Syaoran turned around, raising an eyebrow. Just passing by. I wasn't spying, Kaido Magician stated. He also mumbled, Anyway, I'm not the only one spying. From behind another bush, Tomeo pressed a finger to her lips, giving a warning signal. Then she readjusted her video camera. She sighed. She would have to get Sakura's first kiss under moonlight. Oh well, there were other chances. Kaido Magician stated, I'm going now. By the way, what are you two doing here in Hong Kong? Aren't you supposed to be safe at home, guarding my locket? It's a long story. Wait a second. Did you by any chance steal a diamond necklace off? Gotta leave. I'm still running away from the police. I'll see you later. Once I finish some business. I'm in your gratitude till then. Turning several flips with a swish of his midnight black cloak, the Kaido Magician disappeared. Grinning crookedly, Syaoran followed after Sakura to catch up. Then, a low voice, which had haunted his dreams, whispered in his ear, Don't you know you're making things worse? You're falling into what you feared most. The next day, taking a deep breath, Sakura stood in front of the grand and impressive Hoshi Enterprise main building with glass windows which flashed in the sunlight. She was dressed in a neat, formal, short-sleeved blouse and pretty white plaid skirt, looking really businesslike. Her golden brown hair was in a tidy French braid tied with a sky blue sash that had been tied around the rose that Syaoran had given her the previous night. As for the rose, she had pressed it between the pages of her diary. Thinking about Syaoran made her cheeks feel warm. She fingered her lips. He had almost kissed her last night. In ways, she had wished he had. She wished she could put aside all her doubts and trust him. However, this morning, she had left the hotel early, before Syaoran woken up. Someone was already waiting for her by the building entrance, however. Shaking her head, Sakura asked flatly, What are you doing here, Syaoran? I left you sleeping back at the hotel. She continued, Don't follow me. Shaking his head, Syaoran followed right behind Sakura as she walked to the president's office. With surely hands, Sakura knocked on the office door. Inside came a deep voice. Enter. Steadily, Sakura entered the office room, without paying heed to Syaoran, who stubbornly followed right behind. The huge room was impressive, finished with couches and tables, refrigerator, TV. At the head of the room was a large mahogany wood table, and Kinomoto Fujita, Sakura's grandfather and president of Hoshi Enterprise, sat behind it. Beside him stood his eldest son and vice president of the Hoshi Enterprise. In a steady voice, Sakura announced, My name is Kinomoto Sakura. I have come to request Kinomoto-san to drop the charges against Kaido Magician. From beside her, Syaoran sweat dropped. Talk about just being straightforward and down to the point. Rather astounded, Fujita stammered, Wait a minute, girl. What did you say your name was? Kinomoto Sakura, daughter of Kinomoto Fujita and Amiya Nadesco. Sakura's blazing emerald eyes were level, yet forceful at the same time. Fujita sputtered at this, while Fujita said, My granddaughter? No,
I am not your granddaughter if my father is not your son, Sakura corrected. This is outrageous! Send this brat away, father! Fujika exclaimed. Oh, what a disgrace. Probably your father sent her to claim more of the Kinomoto fortune, or to blackmail us. With cold eyes, Sakura retorted, Don't bring my father into this. I don't care anything about the Kinomoto family. I came strictly on business about the charge on Kaido Magician. So you say. Father, daughter, they're all alike. Why would you come here on something? Fujika was cut off by his father. My son, please stay quiet, Fujita commanded. Fujika gave a nasty glare at his niece, but quieted. Fujita continued, Now, tell me, Sakura-san, why should I drop the charges against that thief? Because you asked me to? Because you're related by blood? I don't think so. With a slightly trembling voice, Sakura said, You have pressed charges against Kaido Magician because he has stolen the Mirror of Truth. True. That is a priceless Kinomoto family heirloom. I cannot let the Kaido Magician run away with it, Fujita stated gravely. That's a lie, Sakura replied. The mirror belonged to another family of a man called Tanaka-san, who worked for your company. But you lied, saying that Tanaka-san had debts to your company. In return, you took his family treasures, including the precious Mirror of Truth. Who told you that, girl? Fujita asked for the first time, looking unsure of himself. Slightly smiling sideways at Syaoran, she replied, facing straight towards her grandfather. I just know. This time, Fujika interrupted. Liar! Get out of here! How dare you accuse the Kinomoto family of stealing from another man? How dirty and underhanded, just like your father. I told you, don't bring my father into this, Sakura exclaimed angrily. I don't know what my father was like in the past, but I know this. My father is not the type of person who would run away from his mother's fortune or hurt his father. My father is an honorable and noble person. He certainly is not the type who backstabs and betrays his very own brother. With this, she gave a significant look at Fujika, who turned placid as if remembering his own folly. Slowly, Fujita began. You said your name was Sakura, right? Sakura-san, I know that my son Fujita is not a person like that. I know that he's an honorable and just person. He was the only upright person in this family. Father! Exclaimed Fujika in horror. But, Sakura-san, what does any of this have to do with me pressing charges against Kaido Magician? Fujita asked, smiling. Sakura and Syaoran sweat-dropped. Nothing, except maybe about family honor, Sakura said. The Mirror of Truth does not rightfully belong to the Kinomoto family. Therefore, pressing charges against the Kaido for stealing it, it's not justified. And what will you do if I don't listen to your orders? Fujita asked pleasantly. Sakura opened her mouth and closed it. She knew it would come to this. There was something she could do to accept rationality. Well, I don't think you'd want it to come to this, but we can always report it to the government that you stole from Tanaka-san. Or we can spread the word around to other companies who have contracts with the Hoshi Enterprise, and therefore cause them all to drop associations, Syaoran said in a mild tone. In his ear, Sakura exclaimed in shock, Syaoran, that's blackmailing! Grinning, he put a reassuring hand on Sakura's shoulder. Who are you? Demanded Fujika. Lee Syaoran of the Lee clan. I can assure you that the Lee family would make sure all the companies in Hong Kong will drop all contracts with the Hoshi Enterprise. That is, if you don't agree to do what is right and drop the charges against the Kaido Magician. Fujita turned placid as he heard this. He stared at this confident young man challenging him with those burning amber eyes. And he stared at the granddaughter,
who he never knew even existed. He was beaten. Fine, as you two wish. I will drop charges tomorrow. Tomorrow? Sakura squeaked. It might be a little too late. Oh, well, that would have to do. Thank you, Kinomoto-san. Politely, she bowed and was ready to leave the room. Fujinta sighed at the formality Sakura used. Wait a moment, Sakura-san. How is your father? Very well, thank you. As you may know, he is on college seminar giving archaeology lectures all over the universities in Japan. And he has won awards, too. My brother, my father, and I are all very happy. And your mother? She died when I was 3. Then Sakura smiled brightly. But we believe she is watching over us in heaven. And I believe she is watching over me this very moment. I know you might be less than happy to see me, but I'm very happy. Even if you don't accept me, I'm very glad that I do have more relatives from my father's side. And I'm glad to know that father wasn't alone before. She left the room, her smile lighting up the whole dull room. After Sakura, his granddaughter, left, Fujinta murmured, I wanted to tell her that she had grown into a fine young lady with a sense of straightforwardness and honesty, as well as a bright smile, just like her father, and that the thing I regret most in my life is letting Fujata go. In my heart, I knew that Fujata would never betray me yet. I was hurt and pained when he left the house, for I loved him very much. Still, I'm glad he found what he was looking for. Happiness, freedom, and a sense of belonging. Finally, an opportunity to videotape Sakura-chan! Tomei exclaimed that evening. Oi, don't you have to return to Tomita? Sakura asked. She was dressed completely in a tight-fitting black outfit with a black bandana tied around her forehead, Tomei's finishing touch. Oh, yes, right after I finished filming Captor Sakura's escapade, Tomei stated. I'm a card captor, not a thief, Sakura replied. And don't you mind I'm stealing your father's TMI-305 decoding disc to detach the microchip on the locket? Oh, well, Tomei shrugged. Didn't you say Kinomoto-san's going to drop the charges against Kaido Magician anyway? So, it doesn't matter. As simple as that, Sakura asked. She sighed. Well, step 1. Enter the police headquarters. Well, the whole building was covered in hidden cameras and a guarding system and didn't have a sudden glitch. So, how did she enter the Chief Officer Daidoji-san's office? Of course, the normal way, through the door as the guest of Tomei, daughter of Daidoji-san. As they entered the office, Tomei murmured, I don't know why, but my father's been acting really strangely late today. Who is it? Demanded Daidoji-san as they entered the room, flinging a heavy book at their head. Gah! Sakura jumped out of the way with Tomei. Daidoji-san? Father, what's wrong? Tomei ran up to Daidoji-san, putting a hand on his arm. Don't touch me! Daidoji-san exclaimed, pushing his daughter away roughly. Sakura gasped. Daidoji-san? She walked up to him hesitantly. When she saw his eyes, she shivered. They were blank and overcast. Taking a deep breath, she felt the aura. It was a dark force. Her eyes darted towards the third drawer in the cabinet across the room. Now, how could she steal the disc? Then she saw a figure by the window. Silently, Syaoran opened the office window and crept into the room. He was also dressed in a black outfit with a black bandana tied around his forehead, courtesy of Tomei. Step number 3 was while Sakura and Tomei distracted Daidoji-san, Syaoran stole the disc. Quietly, he crept up to the cabinet, keeping an eye on Daidoji-san. You! Daidoji-san swerved around. What are you doing here? From inside his blazer jacket, he drew out a gun. Thief! Calmly, he pointed it at Syaoran. Jumping, Syaoran's sweat dropped, looking around for an escape. Father! Tomeo exclaimed, jumping back onto her feet, and ran to hold back Daidoji-san. What's wrong with you, father? You've never used violence before. How'd you change so much in one day? Get out of my way! Daidoji-san slapped Tomeo's face. Tomeo stared back with large, confused violet eyes. Tomeo-chan, don't go near him. He's being controlled by a dark force, Sakura exclaimed. Quick to figure out, Cherry Blossom, said the Phantom. Finally, we see each other face to face. I've been trapped in the basement of the old theater for over 20 years by your mother. But now I'm back, stronger than ever. The Phantom, Sakura exclaimed. Then her eyebrows furrowed down forcefully. She commanded, Key that hides the forces of stars, show your true shape to me. I, Sakura, command you under contract. Release! Gripping her pink staff, she held it out in front of her and held out her deck of Sakura cards. In return, Daidoji-san, being controlled by the Phantom, grinned back at her eerily. Can you really fight me, Cherry Blossom? By doing so, you will fight your best friend's father. Taken aback, Sakura cowered. No, she couldn't hurt Daidoji-san. In the meantime, Syaoran quickly had begun spinning the code to unlock the vault containing the disc. Noticing the Phantom / Daidoji-san quickly swerved around and shot off the gun in his direction. What the fuck? Syaoran exclaimed, ducking down from the bullet. Then everything in the room began to levitate. With the flick of Daidoji-san's hand, all the objects began to crash themselves at Syaoran. Sweeping out his sword, Syaoran did his best to keep them off. No, father, stop! Tomeo ran up to Daidoji-san, wrapping her arms around him. For a split second, Daidoji-san's eyes returned to its usual midnight violet glimmer. Then the Phantom struck back stronger, blowing off Tomeo with a blast of power. Windy! Sakura attacked. Laughing, the Phantom replied, I warn you, you won't be able to conquer me through normal means. Though the other dark forces may have vanished and been vanquished, I will never vanish as long as fear exists. I feed on the fear of humankind, and I exist in the depths of everyone's heart, where mortal fear and nightmares exist. Right now, I am using this man's body to attack you, because in this man is the fear and the doubt for his daughter, who he abandoned in childhood, and the wife he refused to meet for years. How funny, the head of the Tokyo Police Department. Such a weak heart. I will conquer you, Sakura answered. Although everyone on Earth has fear, don't you know that fear can be conquered? Fear will always exist as long as people feel insecure. However, don't you know that it still can be overcome with courage? Courage isn't about how great one's power is. Courage is the strength of the inner heart. Woody! Grapevines wrapped around Daidoji-san, trapping the Phantom. Sakura was careful, however, not to hurt the body. And if a person can love, they can have inner strength. Daidoji-san does love Tomeo and her mother. He can overcome the Phantom. And so can I. It was as if Daidoji-san heard her words, for his eyes focused on Tomeo. He reached out his hand. Tomeo, my daughter, why are you on the floor? There's a bruise on your face. Did someone hit you? Come, father will protect you. I'm sorry I'm so busy with work. I wish I could be a good father to you. I don't deserve to be a father. Pressing her hand and her head against her father, Tomeo whispered, No, you are everything that I would ask for in a father. I'm sorry, Tomeo. I can't promise I'll get back with your mother. I can't promise I'll be able to spend more time with you, but I can promise I will try my best to become a father you can always turn to, Tomeo, and I will always love you. Daidoji-san's eyes glistened, stroking Tomeo's long hair. What is this dreadful feeling? The phantom moaned. From Daidoji-san's body evaporated a shapeless, dark cloud. Daidoji fell unconscious to the floor. Without hesitating, Sakura struck her staff into the air. Spirit of dark forces, I, Sakura, command you, return to new shape of contract. Sakura, guard! The phantom struggled against her power. Sakura poured more of her magic in. She failed to seal the card last time. She wouldn't fail again. Yet, at the last moment, the phantom broke. Didn't I tell you I can't be captured? Fright and terror still exist, and therefore I, the phantom, still exist. With this, the phantom blasted out raw, dark power. Sakura was thrown back from the impact across to the other wall. Her knee banged against the hard surface. In unison, there was a large popping sound. She felt her pocket, and her fingers brushed against Kaido Magician's locket. Then she realized that the shield had been broken. Still laughing, the phantom escaped through the window. We will meet again, card captor. Next time I won't be so easy on you. For a second, the phantom paused in front of Syaoran. Small wolf. I wonder why I couldn't control you. Groaning, Sakura stirred up. Ugh, why couldn't she seal the phantom? She stared down at her staff. Don't mind the phantom for now. We have to escape. Quickly, Syaoran resumed and unlocking the vault. Outside, they heard police officers filing into the hallway, shouting, Look! The indicator for TMI-305 microchip is beeping again. It's in the chief's room. We must catch the Kaido Magician this time. Sakura remembered that the shield broke, so that the locket with the microchip attached to it no longer blocked from computer devices. They had to escape. Hurry, Sakura-chan. You and Syaoran go, Tomeo exclaimed after propping her father on a couch. I'll try and stall the police as long as I can and invent up some story. Sheepishly, they gazed around the office, which had things scattered up everywhere, bullet holes in the wall and dents in the furniture. Thanks. I'll see you when this crazy stuff is over. You're returning to Tomato with your mother, right? Sakura asked. Yeah. Good luck, Tomeo reassured. Oh, I wish I could videotape. And also, thank you for returning my father to normal. Sakura shook her head. No, it wasn't me. It was your father who made it possible. It was his love for you. As soon as Syaoran retrieved the disc, Sakura used the fly and invisible, escaping to their hotel room. Sakura discovered that a large bruise had begun to form on her knee from the impact from being thrown across the room. She wondered if she'd be able to run later on. They could hear the police sirens ringing once more. The Kaido Magician is on the move again. Follow the indicator. Panting, Sakura and Syaoran landed on their hotel room balcony. From the balcony beside them came a melodious woman's voice. Hi there, you two. Stopping mid-track, Syaoran and Sakura's sweat dropped. They'd been caught flying and landing on a hotel balcony. Don't you recognize me? It's Arima Agaki, Arima exclaimed, bemused from her suite's room balcony. I heard you guys were in Tokyo from Asuma, but I didn't realize you two were staying in the same hotel as me, let alone next door suite.
Oh yeah, Syaoran thought. Tamura Asuma told me Arima had a film shooting in Tokyo. Of course she'd be staying at this hotel, which is the best in the city. She's a famous movie star.
Hello, Kaki-san, Sakura said. Nervously, she gazed out at the street. She could hear the faint siren ringing in the blinking lights. The police were following. Well, it doesn't seem like quite the situation for us to exchange greetings. Don't worry. I heard the basic story from Asuma. She gave a look to Syaoran. Syaoran had told Asuma the basic reason why they were in Tokyo. I don't really understand the whole thing, but I understand you two need a place to escape to for right now, since you're supposedly being chased by the police. Yes, Sakura stammered. Arima flipped back her luxurious wavy golden hair. Well, I know the perfect place. You can go to a town called Kusako, which is by the seaside and far from Tokyo. My family has a summer estate there, shared with the Tanemura family. You can stay there for a while, where you can collect your head for the next plan. Here's the key. The address is attached to the keychain. Arima tossed it across the next balcony, where Sakura caught it deftly. Thank you, Agaki-san, Sakura began. You don't know how grateful we are. How can we pay you back? Smiling, Arima stated, Don't bother. I'm glad I can help you too. Didn't you two help Asuma and me? So don't worry and get plenty of rest in Kusako town. And also stay safe because you two are my only hope for the best couple contest, all right? There's no way I will let my snobby little brother, Aki, and that bratty girl, Erika, win the contest and film the same movie as me. Okay? She winked, then swept back into her room. Sakura and Syaoran also re-entered their suite room and quickly packed their belongings, which wasn't much anyway. Then they crept down to the hotel lobby to check out at the counter. At that moment, the police landed in front of the hotel building complex and filed into the hotel. While they caused a ruckus in the hotel lobby, Syaoran and Sakura crept outside unnoticed. Then a policeman shouted, Look! The red dot indicating outside the hotel. Yikes, we're caught! Sakura exclaimed. Are we ever going to reach the train station to get to Kusako? Ah! Syaoran's eyes gleamed as he spotted a vacant police car. The police had supposedly left the car because they had flocked into the hotel with the others. You don't dare, Sakura began. Then she grinned. Well, we're in trouble enough anyway. They both jumped into the police car, Syaoran in the driver's seat. The policeman saw someone in his car and began, Hey, that's my car! Syaoran pressed down the pedal on his foot and the car lurched forward. Hey, by the way, Syaoran, do you know what you're doing? Sakura asked. Of course I do. Syaoran replied confidently, barely missing a tree. What do you take me for? Have you ever driven a car before? Sakura asked suspiciously. Well, no. I haven't passed my driver's ed yet, I'm only 15. Syaoran replied, swerving around the corner, almost crashing into a trash can. Clicking on the seatbelt, Sakura stated, I feel sick. Let me drive, Sakura stated. It's not like you can do any better, Syaoran retorted. Then he glanced at the rearview mirror. Other police cars were following them. From the walkie-talkie came a policeman's voice. Are you there, number 505? This is your officer. Yeah, I'm here, Syaoran replied, shrugging.
Microchip indicator is heading that way. Keep alert. Sure, Syaoran replied. Excuse me? I mean, yes, sir, Syaoran corrected into the walkie-talkie. Keep your eyes on the road, Sakura screeched as a car swerved out of their path to miss crashing into them. Now I wish Grandfather could drop the charges against Kaido Magician this very night instead of tomorrow. Then we won't be chased by the police right now. It's bad enough with the Phantom. We're here at the train station, Syaoran exclaimed. Both of them were surprised that they made it there in one piece. Quickly, they bought the tickets. As they were about to board the train, to their shock, the police were surrounding the station. It would be impossible for them to reach Kusako safely. No, Sakura murmured in dismay. She'd been slightly limping due to the concussion on her knee. She was certain she couldn't run a meter more. Syaoran's amber eyes hardened. He slipped his hand into Sakura's pocket and drew out the silver gold oval locket. Then he pushed Sakura onto the train. Syaoran, what are you doing? Sakura asked in shock. You go first. I'll distract the police a bit and come right after, all right? I can't have the police chase us like this. Plus you're limping because of your injury from the Phantom. You can't run anymore. You're exhausted. You went through a lot in the last few days, and I really admire you for being so strong. Now let me do something. Though it isn't much. You won't be chased by the police, so go get some rest, all right? Syaoran grinned, backing away from the train. No, Syaoran, give me the locket. I can put up with being chased. It's my problem in the first place. Don't worry, I have the disc which contains the program to dislocate the microchip from the locket. All I have to do is find a computer and figure out how to decode the disc. Then I can dislocate the microchip and throw it away, therefore solving all our problems. I'll be back before dawn, Syaoran reassured, then leaped over the other side of the track, still clasping the locket tightly. The police shouted, Wait! Now the indicator's heading away from the train station! Then someone spotted Syaoran running across the train station. From a distance, it was impossible to distinguish his features, only that he was a swift young man dressed completely in black. That must be the Kaido Magician! Forget the train! Chase him! They shouted. Slowly, the train door shut. Sakura stood, shocked. Then she plopped into one of the seats. No. How could she let Syaoran run off with that locket? It was her fault they were in this scrape in the first place. She had offered to keep the locket for Kaido Magician. It was her responsibility. How could she let Syaoran face danger and simply sit in a train waiting for him? What if he didn't come back? She pressed her forehead against the cool glass window as the train departed and the police flocked the station, drifting further away. Now, she regretted her harsh words to him the previous night. She had always thought Syaoran was hurting her, yet had she ever thought about her hurting Syaoran? She must have hurt Syaoran with her harsh words last night, when Syaoran was trying to make amends with her. How stupid could she be? It was always Syaoran by her side when she faced hardships. It was Syaoran who always endured pain for her numerous times. This was incomparable to the pain that Syaoran had given her, which was only 3 times since they met. First, when she met him as a rival and he refused to accept her. Second, when he left her and returned to Japan. Third, when he told her he had no feelings for her that winter. Yet, what about all the uncountable things he did in between to prove his sincerity? The first 2 times that she had felt hurt by Syaoran all had reasons behind it.
The first time, they became rivals because it was Syaoran's duty as the Li clan chosen one to capture all the cloud cards. When she had heard Syaoran's story about his training, the Li clan ordeal, and his older cousin Lian, she became more powerfully aware of how important the task had been to Syaoran. Yet, he'd given it up for her sake and helped her and protected her numerous times. The second time, when he left Japan, it was because it was an order from his family, because he had duties back at home in Hong Kong. Yet, he actually ran away from home and returned to Japan when he knew the legendary Dark Ones had risen. And third, the reason why Syaoran had to say such harsh words to her was still a mystery. She still couldn't believe he called their cherished time together silly childhood memories. But surely there must be a reason behind it. And she trusted Syaoran would tell her one day. For now, she would believe in Syaoran. Glancing at her watch, Sakura realized it was already past midnight. It was 2:00. The train ride to Kusako would take several hours since it stopped by many other stations. Would Syaoran come back before dawn? You know what I like about sunrises, Sakura? It's a new beginning of another day, where anything can await. A whole new day to forget the darkness of the night and erase all pain and bitterness. It is something you can look forward to with a yearning smile. Yes, I think I understand. Even if the day before went wrong, the sunrise can bring another chance to mend all hardships. You can face a whole new day to start over again. There's never a dead end if there is a sunrise, she had replied. Now, clearer than ever, she understood the meaning of Syaoran's words. She thought that she would have to get to know Syaoran over again, but she was wrong. Syaoran was Syaoran. Whatever happened, it was just what was happening around them that affected them. If she saw Syaoran again, she wanted him to know that she believed in him, not with just shallow words, but from the bottom of her heart. How could she have been a fool all this time? With hope, she gazed at the blazing sunrise. Please, Syaoran, be all right. Please be safe. For a moment, everything was dark outside as they passed underneath a tunnel. Inside the train, Sakura heard a thud. When the train emerged outside the tunnel once more and sunlight flooded inside, Sakura felt relieved. Then she realized it was morning. Syaoran promised me he would return before dawn. Sakura, I've come, Syaoran said, leaning his weight against the compartment door. His chestnut brown hair was tousled by the wind, and his black clothes had various rips and tears in it. Syaoran! Sakura stood up. Her emerald ocean green eyes were luminous and glistening. He walked over to her and held out his arms. Sakura buried her head into his chest. She could still hear his heart beating rapidly from running all night. He was slightly trembling from fatigue, despite his calm exterior. After a while, Syaoran asked, Sakura, are you crying? I'm all right. I promised I'd come back before dawn, didn't I? I didn't want to keep you waiting like yesterday, but I'm still late. The sun had already risen. I'm sorry. He didn't hear any reply. He tilted up her chin. Sakura? Looking up with tear-brimmed eyes, Sakura replied, Silly. I don't care whether you keep me waiting or not. All I care is that you are here and safe. Do you know how much I worried? Don't ever leave me like that again.
You were worried about me? Syaoran asked, greatly surprised.
Yes, stupid, Sakura said without being able to control the tears from flowing from her eyes. She fingered a streak of blood running down the side of his smooth forehead. You're hurt?
It's just a scratch. I scraped my head when I jumped off the other train. Stupid mistake. I lost control of my magic when I tried to make a safe landing.
You call that a scratch? You made me worry. And now you're even injured, she sniffled.
Slowly, Syaoran said, now you're making me feel bad. I made you cry again. I made you hurt again when I vowed never to make you feel pain because of me. No wonder you hate me and distrust me.
Who says I hate you, Syaoran? I do trust you. I do believe in you.
You believe in me? Syaoran whispered as if unbelieving in the words himself. Her angry words from the previous night still shot shards into his heart.
Of course I do. I always have in the depths of my heart.
Sakura swallowed the lump in her throat and smiled.
I believed in you when we overcame Iro. I believed that you would come back to Japan. I believed in you last night when you said you'd come back by dawn.
The corners of Syaoran's amber eyes softened, as it did only for Sakura and only in rare occasions. Of course I came back to you, Sakura. You are my sunrise, the hope in each day. Brilliant amber eyes met emerald eyes with a new clearness and sincerity as never before. Holding Sakura tightly with his hand, Syaoran bent over to kiss Sakura. This time, she did not draw back. When their lips touched, Sakura's eyes widened for a second, then shut tightly. For the first time since last winter, the brilliant rays of the dazzling golden sun seeped into her body and warmed her heart. Even if the day before went wrong, sunrise can bring another chance to mend all hardships. You can face a whole new day and start over. There's never a dead end if there's a sunrise. You can seize the day.
Back in Tomeda. Ugh, it's so hot, Erika complained, fanning herself with a Chinese silk fan with flower embroidery. I hate summertime.
Tell the truth, you're just sad because everyone's away for summer and you have no one to play with. Aaron pointed, drinking a glass of ice water. The ruby earring in his left ear gleamed.
Sheesh, how can you look so cool and calm in this weather?
Erika asked and fingered a strange black stone which hung around her neck. It matched with the one that Aaron had.
I'm bored. I wish Syaoran didn't go to Tokyo. Then I could hang over him and make Sakura jealous. She's so dense and stupid. I can't stand it. I hope the Phantom's doing a good job in hurting her.
cherry blossom's not as dense as you think she is, Add-on commented mildly.
Think what you want to, Add-on. You always think you're right, so... Erika shrugged, tying her thick dark hair into a ponytail. Oh yeah, strange. The Phantom failed in controlling Syaoran. I wonder why. It would have been fun to see Sakura hurt by the one she loves most.
You're very evil, Erika, Add-on responded, smiling. You're almost catching up to me. In a modest tone, he added, Now, not that it's anything to be proud of, but... Just then, the phone rang.
In a sweet voice, Erika answered, Hello, Chain Erika speaking. Aki-kun. Hello. How come you didn't call all summer? Oh, really? That's great. Sure, no problem. All right, see you. Ta-ta.
Pretending to shiver, Add-on muttered, Ugh, talk about acting all cutesy and sweet.
Sticking out her tongue, Erika replied, Shut up. Then, brightening, she stated, First fun thing all summer. Come on, get up and move your butt. We're going on vacation.
Huh?